Okay, let's do it then. Hello, son. It's me again, Dad. I kind of try to set the camera in the right position. Yeah, let's do a video. I wanted to do a video about me. I want to talk a little bit about me. Same time, I think you can learn something about you yourself too. And yeah, I have made yesterday a video, but I I got in trouble because I used the other phone. I have two phones, and the other phone has very limited space, so it end up in a disaster, really. So this is a second try. Yeah. First of all, wait, what is today? Wait. Today is July 11, 2025. And let's talk about, I will tell you a little bit of my story. I was born in Poland. I was born in Poland, very close to the German-Polish border. I was born on the 5th of September 1976. And at this time there existed the so-called Iron Curtain. Just to give you a little bit background, sorry, fly. The Iron Curtain was a border who separated the East from the West. Iron Curtain because you couldn't cross the border, you couldn't pass the border. It was a closed border, and yeah, where I have been born in a Polish city, Lubain, in German is called Lauban. It's very close to this, was very close to the Iron Curtain, very close to this border. So I was born, and the first 6 years of my life I have lived in Poland. You need to know at this time in Poland there was big poverty, there was people had nothing to eat, hunger. And my mom and dad, your grandma and grandpa, they have left Poland when I was 6 years old. They were so-called, well, in one way, refugees. Yeah. Political refugees, because my dad, your grandpa, he was actually against the political system. So so grandpa and grandma and me, I was 6 years old when they have left Poland. Um, First of all, I have to, well, now I will just continue. Um, as I told you, they have crossed the Iron Curtain with borders. They go to Germany. Germany is a neighbor state, but yeah. But as I told you earlier, the Iron Curtain, so-called Iron Curtain, was called Iron Curtain because you couldn't cross the border. The reason why my mom and dad and me, they could do it is because my grandpa, your grandpa, the daddy of my mommy, he was fighting alongside with Nazis in a World War II. This is for me personally uh, hard to digest, let's say it this way. I don't know if you know what Nazi means, what Nazi Germany was. Uh, you probably will learn this in school, you might have an idea. So, for me personally, it's like a disaster that Grandpa has fought for the Nazis alongside. So that was the reason why Grandpa, my mom and dad, and me, they could cross the borders, the so-called Iron Curtain. Um, a part of this story about my granddad, him fighting alongside for Nazis, I do actually know nothing about our family. You about other family member, let's call it so. Honestly speaking, I had never like grandpa, grandma. It had something to do with the Iron Curtain again, because well, it's a little bit more complicated story. I try to tell you this so you get a very good feeling. How did I grew up? So, okay, let's back again. Mom and dad have left Poland. They went to Germany when I was 6 years old. But the Iron Curtain has, well, we just couldn't keep up contact with our family members. They who were still in Poland. Um, so at this time I was 6 years old, and you just need to imagine. I was a very little child, baby almost. Well, not baby. 1 year later, I went to German school. I went through the entire German school system, so I do speak perfectly German language, perfect. I do speak Polish too, but my real perfect language I can speak is German. So that was a situation. first 6 years of my life, I was in Poland. I went to kindergarten, so on and so forth. I have created roots. I was rooted there. It was fragile. It was, but yes. So I was kind of ripped off of my environment, of my friends I had. The beginning to I don't know how to say in English. I was just ripped off and put in a totally different place in Germany. So this was not easy for me. It's for a 6 years old. Yeah, you start somehow from zero again. What happened? Another point. Who? Yeah, there was a language barrier. I was 6 years old. I was talking with mom and dad and everybody in Polish language. But then I was in Germany. I had to. Well, I couldn't speak German. I had never in my life uh, German or in Poland. So what happened is, yes, kids, while babies can catch up languages very quick, and uh, I did learn, as I mentioned, perfect German. I can speak perfectly German, but at this time, for a 6 years old, it wasn't that easy. No, I remember it took me a while to get it. So that was a situation for me that I was placed in an entirely new environment. I did not understood the language, and long story short, I grew up in Germany more or less like a lone wolf. I, um, but there are two more points I need to talk about. I probably will do own videos uh, to these topics too, but I want to mention it already that the German mentality, the environment where I was placed, it turned out later we are not getting really along. Um, the um, the German mainstream and my mentality is not really compatible. I just don't like how the people, the mindset of those people. I have a little bit. It's not mine. Maybe I have to say. Maybe I have to mention, if I talk about Germans, about Spanish, about whatever nationality, if I talk about that, it's what is meant is you can find everywhere nice people and bad people, assholes. You can find it everywhere. If I talk about the mainstream. No? Each nation has like a mass mainstream mass soul. It's like their mentality. It does not mean everybody is like that. You do can find nice, friendly, polite Germans and whatever. If I talk about nationality, I talk about the mainstream. So Germany and me, we were not compatible. Compatible. That's why I left Germany when I was 20 years old. But let's go back. I don't want to. Let's go one step back. Uh, so yeah, I was in Germany when I was 6 years old. I went to school with 7. I did my whole school career in Germany. I never went to. I never did study or college. I think it's called college. But the German school system at this time was pretty tough. It's pretty hard. So yeah, I do have a solid school. I'm not a stupid. And as I said, the circumstances were just like that. That I had to. I grew up really like a lone wolf. No? So I mentioned I grew up like a wolf, like a lone wolf, but this had the effect that I was learning myself things, like I teach myself how to play guitar. I was even study some to some level music, like real music. I was interested in other things. I was interested in astronomy. I like stars. I know. I always wanted to know how it works and everything. And this is maybe one point what is interesting for you, because some people have the skill to self-taught, to teach themselves things. Like some the to learn something new. You usually have a teacher or something, or somebody who shows you something. This is normally how it goes, but some people have the skill to teach themselves things, and this is how I am a little bit. And don't get me wrong, I'm not special or whatsoever. It's just a lot of people have a skill. You can train it, you can practice it. If you are open-minded person, you need to stay open-minded, and you not an entire idiot, let's call it this way. So you can teach yourself things if you are interested in it, of course. If you are absolutely not interested to learn something, you just don't do it. So yeah, here we are. My childhood was, as I said, I was because of the language barrier and the mentality of them and me wasn't really compatible. We didn't understand each other well. So I just grew up more or less like a lone wolf. I had friends, but uh, yeah, yeah. There's another point I need to mention. It's about grandpa. It's about my dad. Um, Grandpa is, yes, he has a mental disorder. He is a sociopath. psychopath, if you like, you know. Um, well, he's a difficult person, really. He's a difficult person. Wait, I have to. Not really nice person. I mean, he can be nice, he can be polite, he can be everything, you know, but he can be very anti-social, extreme anti-social, you know. He can be very rude, he can be insulting, yeah, and he is not capable to learn. That's a very big problem in general. Um, you know, there's a lot of things I could say, I could tell, but I don't want to. This video is about me. To tell you a little bit my story, but I do talk about things like about grandpa. I'm going to do videos about that. You know, these are huge topics. I don't. Yeah. So um, yeah, grandpa can be also very aggressive. Um, not in a way, not in a physical way. He never beat me or was. He never did any. He never beat me, but in a mental, psychological way, grandpa. He was really too much, really too much, and he was not capable to learn. This is a sign of a mental disorder already. If people are not capable to learn, if they do always the same and expect in a way different result, a different outcome. That's the definition of madness. It says Albert Einstein. No? I think I will make a quote as a thumbnail. This quote of him. Yeah. So for you, maybe in the future, it's maybe interesting to know if you deal with people who are just not capable to learn. You know, to do mistakes. We all do mistakes. No one of us is perfect. But you do the same mistake once, twice, maybe a third time, but then you really have to get it. You know, otherwise it's becoming really, mm, yeah, it's not good. You know, you need to learn. However, mm, so yeah, this loneliness, lone wolf growing up was paired with some underlying fear towards my dad, you know, because as I said, he has a mental disorder, and mm, it was very difficult. Um, he, mom, your grandma, my mom, has I said how it is. I believe dad has ruined the life of mom. It's like that. But as I said, I will do videos, proper videos for it. So yeah, this what I try to tell you, son, is well, uh, their childhoods, they way more worse than mine. But my childhood was I grew up in fear. Sorry, I grew up in fear. Somehow I never in a microcosmos. Uh, Mom, dad, and me, we were like a microcosmos in a foreign country with the Iron Curtain, a border, and yeah. But this microcosmos had not only to do with the Iron Curtain, it had a lot to do with the mental state of grandpa. So me not having contact to family members has had a lot to do with grandpa, because he is antisocial. He is very he don't really know how to be a social person on a long run. Let's say of course, you can have with him nice, friendly conversation whatsoever. But on a long run, everybody sees he has difficulties, to control himself somehow. So that was my childhood, really. I never experienced physical violence, but the psychological violence was something. Mm. However, I went through the school. I did my military service. I became an electrician. This is my profession. Electricity. I'm an electrician. High voltage, high voltage stuff. Like cables on the ground. Um, okay. With 16, I started to smoke cigarettes, and I tried marijuana. Super annoying. I tried marijuana, and while I went to military service, and where I have tried hard drugs. I was taking drugs, where you live is different because there's death penalty, but here in Western world, if you like, drugs are not allowed, but you don't have a death penalty on it, So there's a black market for drugs. So I did try drugs. I actually became a drug addict. Um, I have been taking methamphetamine, crystal speed. It's a very strong drug. I was on a drug 8 years. For 4 years I was taking it through the nose, and 4 years I did the needle. So yeah, this is another topic. I will make videos about it because I I have become something like a little expert on addictions. I'm not taking drugs anymore. I yeah uh, yeah, I started to take drugs like regularly when I was 18, more or less 19, 18. A little bit earlier, but it was like um, while taking once in a while, yeah, like, but later it was like daily use. So with 18, yeah, it was a very wild time. You know, it was. I have been through something, but I always kept my integrity. You know, because this is what you. No matter what you do, you have to be correct always. You know, don't start to become an asshole. Don't start to steal, lie, you know. And yes, there are different types of drug addicts. You know, some people they have no, they give a shit about everything. You know. But I wasn't like that, so I kept my integrity even when I was high on drugs. Yeah, I have been through. I have been through something. You know. When I was um, 28, I have left Germany. I have left Germany. Um, as I mentioned earlier, Germany was not my mentality on the first place. We just mm, we we were not compatible. You know, the way how I think, the way how they think. I mean, I could live there. I did everything. I went to school, everything, no problem. But it wasn't mine, you know. So, but of the drug consumption, consume, I knew I had to leave Germany because if I don't leave Germany, I won't make it for long, you know. I would somehow I want I would not live for a long time, you know. So when I was 28, the decision to leave Germany, I made it earlier, but how I came to La Gomera, where I live now, was more or less like accident. I was high on drugs. We did not plan big things. Uh, I mean, my friend at this time and me, he was living at my place and he was taking drugs too and everything. And we have left Germany together, but he went back 6 weeks later when we had no money. Um, yeah, he was panicking because we had a little bit money. I was selling my stuff, the household what I had in Germany, everything what had a little bit value. I was selling it, and so we had a little bit money. What I tried to say is. We had flight tickets to La Gomera, but when I arrived here, I knew nothing about La Gomera. You know, I knew nothing about La Gomera. We had already internet, but I wasn't using internet for a long time. You know, really. 15 years later, after inventing internet, I had first time my I think it was 2015, something like that. I had my first smartphone. Before, no, like the old phones, not, yeah. So yeah, when we arrived here, I knew nothing about Gomera, and as a moment when I arrived here, I became clean. No, I became. I do not use drugs anymore since then. No. And today is the July 11th, 2025. I have arrived here on the 2nd June 2005, 2005. So I am, I'm a bit more than 20 years now living here. And yeah, since then I'm clean. I'm not taking drugs anymore, but I do smoke sometimes marijuana. Um, but this is a different story. This is it's like cigarette smoking. Well, cigarettes, alcohol, the addiction, the whole thing. I will do for everything own video because there's a lot to say. So yeah, um, I left Germany. I was here. Yeah, of course. I mean, at this time, I have to say, I was talking perfect German and Polish. Polish not really perfect because only Polish conversations what I had were at home with mom and dad, but it was restricted, somehow. You know? It's different if you grow up in a country or if you are connected to a Polish community or something. But no, we didn't have this. We were really like a microcosmos, only three of us, and dad had a mental has a mental disorder. So yeah, it was a little bit special. But yeah, all of a sudden I was on La Gomera. La Gomera is the second smallest island from the Islands. The Canary Islands you will find a little bit north of Africa. Little bit north of Africa. It belongs to Spain, and yeah, there I was. Here I was. Here I am, and um, compared to Germany, La Gomera, if really shit hits the fan, if shit hits the fan in Germany and you what is the English word? You have no place to, you have no roof over the top. You have nothing to eat. You live on the street. In Germany, it can be quite tough because in the winter time, you it's difficult. You can freeze to death if you sleep outside somewhere or something like that. You don't have this here in La Gomera. The climate is very favorable to live on the street, because a lot of people who come here say do go again half a year later, but they sleep on a beach. It's official officially it's not allowed, but it's kind of, yeah. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is La Gomera was not the worst place to survive, no, in the beginning. Then I started to work as an electrician bit by bit. But La Gomera is quite small, you know. You are always a little bit restricted somehow. So, well, what to say? In the beginning, it was yeah. I had to kind. I started from zero again. You know, I didn't even speak the language, but there's a big community of Germans here, so I could get along. Oh yeah, I forgot. When I arrived here, I spoke Polish and German, English and Spanish. I had English in school, but um, the teacher and me, we didn't like each other too much, you know. So I kind of refused to learn English. So when I arrived here in La Gomera, I started to learn English first, you know. Um, After that, or parallel, I learned Spanish somehow. You know, I never went to school for English nor Spanish, or I had professional lessons. But let's say it's acceptable. You know, my English has become over time quite acceptable. I do understand very well. I just While I do have practice as well, but I'm just, yeah, my grammar is probably terrible. However, I'm sorry for that, as long you understand me. Yeah, so and now I speak English, German, Spanish, and Polish. And so, yeah, I started from zero. Mm, yeah, my first income was construction work as an electrician. Well, actually, it was more like to do a transport for material, you know, because the landscape here is very rough. Um, it's a little bit different. Sometimes people build in the middle of a mountain a house, you know, and you cannot just drive with a car and put the material in front of the house. You have to walk maybe 300 meters through bushes and I don't know what, you know. So transport of material was really my job. Same time I was doing electricity if someone was asking. But yeah, I had to build up everything from zero, so I needed to get tools and everything. And I was living outside. I didn't have my own space for living. Later, I rented a apartment, something like that, you know. So yeah, I was married 2 times here. Well, no, wait. I was married once with a German woman from East Germany because Germany were divided because of this Iron Curtain. It went through Germany, through Berlin. So there's this difference between East and West Germany. You know? Today you don't have this border. This Iron Curtain fell at some time, but The people actually are a little bit different, you know. If you deal with people from east and from people from west, you see they're a little bit different. However, she was from East Germany, and in total we were together 9 years. Half of the time we were married. Mm. I need to mention at this point, I have been Christian for 30 years in my life. Uh, yes, because I believe in it, and in the end, the last 4 years, something like that, my first wife and me, we were studying the Bible, and long story short, we have lost our faith. So yeah, um, so we did separate, my first wife and me. 1 year later, I met your mom on a dating site. It was called Date in Asia, and yeah. Um, um, we have married because I brought your mom here. We have been in contact. It was a long distance relationship. We have been in contact through the phone, you know, WhatsApp, Messenger. Before she came here, we were in contact for 2 years. During this time, I have visited her in Singapore, where she was working as a housemaid, and then your mom came here, and um, she has she has been here 2 years, more, yeah, I think a little bit more, 2 years, and unfortunately, it didn't work out between us. Um, it was a tough time for your mom and for me. When you were 16 months old, your mom went back to Philippines. So um, yeah, your mom stayed here for 2 years and she went back. It didn't work out as planned. So yeah. But about all that, I will do probably videos. It was on mom went back to Philippines on 9th October 2024. So it's now like 9 months ago. Um, uh, there's a lot to say, but mm, not now. You know, I had to let you go because to protect you. I want to say one thing. If mom and me, if we would have stayed together. For me, myself, history would repeat because my mom and my dad, they stayed together, but they should have separated long time ago. You know? This is what I said in the beginning. My dad is a very difficult person and very he can be very nasty and everything, and he is really causing a lot of psychological stress. You know? But for a long time, when it came to mom, uh, I don't want to go too deep into it now, but I'm telling you, in my opinion, dad has ruined the life of mom to some certain extent. Yeah. However, yeah, and your mom and me, we did not. We were fighting all the time too. We did not get along very well. So there were a lot of parallels. If I think about, if I think back when I was a child, my mom and dad, and all of a sudden the situation here was very similar. As I said, my mom and my dad and me, we were in a foreign country where mom and dad were fighting all the time, and they, because your mom and me, we have separated. For me, there was no absolute no doubt because I know where it leads. Um, it leads nowhere. If we would have stayed together, your mom would be unhappy, I would be unhappy, constant fighting, and you would grow up. So to protect you, I had to let you go. But yeah, so yeah, it's I have been telling you something about. I told you something about me. There's a thing with self-thought. I don't know if I pronounce it right. Taught. If you teach yourself things, this is what you have to. You know? Absolute. I have no doubts about that. You are a very clever boy. You are a very clever person. You are intelligent. Um, yeah, and there's more things, but I think um, we need to talk about. But I will do videos for it. For now, it's okay. So yes, my son, that's it for now. I love you.